connections on the FTTH network altogether. I think that we can talk about 10,000, 20,000 per year connections on the network.
All right, that's duly noted then. And in order to have a better grasp exactly about how you organize your processes and your work, I was just wondering, generally speaking, do you have more like contractors performing the work on your network, or is it more in-house technicians that you're going to send, for instance, to do the work or the maintenance?
Yes, we have in-house technicians. Yes.
All right. For 100% of your operation, so.
We have outside subsidiary company which builds the net.
All right. I think I saw JVO. Is that the one you're referring to? Maybe I'm mistaken when I.
JVO, yes.
It's JVO. All right.
Yes.
So the construction is JVO, which is I understood you're part of the same group. If
Yes.
that's approximately okay, and then otherwise you have in-house technician for more connection activities.
Yes, so the building of the network is GVO, but connecting the end customer is in-house technicians.
All right. All right, that's duly noted. And in terms of more for JVO that I would focus right now my question, but in terms of information that you from a back office perspective gather from the field, from what is done from your network, how does that work? How is the process to have information from the field? For instance, I'm speaking about, do you receive documentation with pictures, etc.?
I know that they have to fulfill the documentation, what has been built, but I cannot say in details. Matias Krušić, perhaps you can give some.
The documentations we are using Network Engineer, and also the inventory is Granite inventory, but in this moment we are it is considered to be changed.
To be?
To be changed.
Oh, all right, because you want to change the systems or tools that are being used, for instance?
Only inventory.
Inventory?
Only inventory because of we are lost support on this tool, so we have to consider about changing that.
All right. Yeah. Generally, inventory, for instance, is a system that, from what we understand, talking with different telecom operators, is a system that is generally complicated to keep up to date and to have a good overview of what's on the network. So maybe I should introduce a bit further Diplomatic, as apart from Tomislav, I think no one really has a great idea about what I'm talking about right now. But just to give you a heads up, I'm going to talk a lot about picture, because this is the core of what we're doing. I understood that so far you are not taking using a lot of pictures from the field. Is that correct?
I think so, yes.
All right, that's duly noted. I only have a small issue, is that I can't share my screen with you. It's not a short issue, but...
Let me check it, sorry. Just a second.
No problem. In any case, I will send you the deck that I have prepared for you today afterwards.
Please try now. So,
Hello. Ah, perfect. It updated it. So I'm going to share my screen because, as I said, we're talking about pictures. So it's always easier to have a view of what we're talking about. And can you see my screen now? Oula.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, it should be a deck. So far, so good.
yeah, we see it.
All right, perfect then. I'm trying to look for something. I'm just coming back. Okay, perfect. All right, so as a short introduction about Diplomatic, we're a French artificial intelligence company, and we specialize in what we call field vision. So to give you a broad definition of field vision, we're going to use, as I said, pictures coming from the field directly into the hands of the technicians to gather data and provide visibility over what is happening on field operations. And we started to work on fiber operation challenges about 4 years ago now with our historical client, Bouygues Telecom, which is the number 3 ISP in France. And we understood throughout our client Bouygues Telecom that there is a common challenge when it comes to fiber operation, whether it is from deployments and rollouts up to the connection points. And generally speaking, with field operation, what we notice is, first of all, gathering accurate data from the field is very complex. Having an idea of the reality of the field is very complex, and therefore it's hard to have visibility over what is going on a huge network that generally covers, well, an entire country. In addition to that, quality is made to be done on a lot of operation, but generally speaking, a manual process or an in-person audit cannot scale up to the amount of operation that are being planned. For instance, I assume that you're not going to send someone to check the quality on the 10,000 new connection you will have in the coming year. You will pick random samples of the connection, which would be able to represent the whole thing, but it's very hard to scale this type of processes. And finally, we have a non-optimized operational planning. We send people on the field. These are costly operations. And as I said before, we have low visibility. We don't really know how to handle the quality processes. Therefore, when we send someone on the field, it's costly and we want to make sure it's done correctly. But without very much visibility, it's very difficult to optimize this process, such as maintenance, for instance, of your network or corrective re-intervention. So for the challenges that I'm mentioning, does it ring a bell to you? Do you feel it's coherent to what you're experiencing on a daily basis?
I must say I do not have so much experience. I'm testing active equipment, but from the, let's say, some mistakes that when we get some mistake from the field and similar, I imagine it would be easier to solve some of them if we could have exact presentation what is going on, how the equipment is installed and everything. So I assume this would be helpful. Yes.
All right, and so from your perspective, when for instance testing a new equipment, do you have any additional point of challenges that on your side from your daily job you see that should be or could be improved that I did not mention?
No, I think not from testing perspective, but from the field installations, let's say from from the part at the end customer, at the technician side, or at the central office, of course.
All right.
This is where we would like to see how your solution looks like.
Yes, of course. Well, to give you a solution of the challenges that I mentioned a bit earlier, this is how we came up with our solution, which I mentioned was Field Vision. And we're going to leverage data with artificial intelligence to be used both valuable on the field, directly into the hands of the technician, so when connecting a new customer, when deploying a new equipment. And we're also going to leverage it for the back office teams. So for instance, quality control teams or for the NOC. And I'm going to go into a bit more details about how it works, but first of all, from a field technician perspective. So let's say I am to be implementing a new customer to the network, or constructing an equipment. I'm going to take, as a technician, a picture from this equipment before and after I made the change that I was sent to do. From this picture, Deepomatic is going to analyze it in real time and to check, for instance, in this very specific case, we're talking about BEP, and we're going to check, for instance, if the tube is in condition that it was supposed to be. So we analyze that in real time, and we give afterward a real-time feedback to the technician. And this has been used throughout all our customers in order to make sure that whenever a technician is acting on your network, before he leaves, everything is standard to your quality. And then we do not have to re-intervene on the network. Do you know if, for instance, your in-house technician, when they're connecting a customer, for instance, they use a specific field service management application, for instance?
Yes, we are using some workforce management application, but it does not include any pictures of all. No pictures on both sides, no from back office, not from field.
All right. Well, the idea here is leveraging this application, integrating directly into it. So in terms of the daily of the technician, it wouldn't change much. He would take a picture directly from this FSM, and this picture would then be analyzed and give a feedback directly into the FSM. Is that clear?
Who does analyze it? Artificial intelligence.
Exactly. Throughout as I mentioned, Deepomatic has been working for the past 8 years, and for the past 4 years now, we've been focusing on the telecom sector. So we created artificial intelligence to especially solve these issues. So to detect and analyze on the pictures what you would like to see. So it would be done automatically, yes. And as I mentioned a bit earlier, as you saw, you had this field work report, but the idea also is to support the back office. And so once we've collected the data that we think is the most accurate data, since it's coming directly from the field, we're going to centralize it and make it accessible through different dashboards. These dashboards are dedicated, of course, to your teams in order to for you to have a better grasp of how it is going on the field. The first one that I would like to present is the review board, and it's generally dedicated to the quality control team. So you have access in real time while the operation is performed on the field to all the information related to this connection, for instance, and you can check and review if the operation has been done according to your quality standards. So instead of checking randomly a part like 5%, for instance, of everything that you're doing or everything that you're receiving in terms of information, you're able to have 100% of your operations that are checked for quality control purposes, but with the same amount of resources. Now you know exactly where to target your quality control team. Because for the moment, would you be able to know exactly how your quality process is organized internally? Do you have a team dedicated to that?
Yeah, we have it, but only on the technical part, not only on this execution part, I think. Because, the problem is in Slovenia that, in Slovenia, at Telekom, that we have a daughter company that's actually doing these installations. They are splicing everything in the splitters. So the technician who goes to the customer premises and connects the CPEs and registers it does not actually see the splitters, They don't work with this. So it's sort of split it to different companies, let's say.
All right, but still on your network and your equipment, they're gonna split the network, but they don't have access to the previous one.
What do you mean access to the previous one?
Well, I'm not so sure I understood.
No, the thing is that all the, let's say, construction work and field work is being done by our daughter company. They install these splitter boxes and they do the splitting of the signal, and they splice everything towards the end customer. They install the fiber towards the end customer. But then in the second phase, the technician comes and he connects the CPE and registers everything. Yeah.
Yes. So you would have a first part in controlling what the daughter company has done. If, for instance, the splicing has been done according to what you want, and then you would have a second part when a customer is connected to check if the customer has a working fiber connection, for instance. Am I correct?
Yeah.
All right, and these would be two different teams that would verify that the work has been done correctly, or is there no team to check if the quality has been met?
No, I think it's done primarily by the team who builds it.
Okay. Very good. And do you know how many people is in charge of it from this building team?
I don't know this exactly. Maybe if someone knows, maybe Peter Rock.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's fine. It can be a rough number, but it's just for me to have an idea. But that's okay, no worries. Well, yeah. Again, this dashboard, the review board, is the first step for the back office teams. And as I said, it gives a more detailed view of each operation. But what we do in parallel is that we aggregate all this data coming from the field in order to give you a high-level operational view of the network as a whole. So this is the second part of this operation observability, is the insight board. And this is a business intelligence dashboard that enables you to track different KPIs that would be relevant for your operations, such as, for instance, the conformity rate of all the operation going on your network, or if a region on the network is going very well. And what I mean by that is every connection is going fine versus another region that is not performing so well, etc. So this dashboard is completely customizable to your needs. So far, does it make sense to you? Do you relate to the different aspects that I mentioned? Well, in case I'm missing, you want to have more explanation about a specific part, don't hesitate to let me know, right? If I move on from an operational perspective to an asset perspective, we have what we call the asset management boards. And this is something that I wanted to present to you today because and you correct me again if I'm wrong, but if I understood well, as the incumbent, you have your own network, but this network is also accessible to other telecom player in Slovenia. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And while I was reading that, I was just wondering how, for instance, if I'm another player, how would that work with you? Would I send my technician to the field? Would I be the one connecting, or would everything be handled by your teams within Telekom Slovenia?
Regarding the PON part, the demarcation point is the ONT. So we install the ONT, and the other ISP connects its gateway to
All
the
right.
ONT.
All right. So
Other telecoms don't work with our equipment. No, only we do.
all right. So how does that work exactly? You construct until the ONT, and then if I am another telecom, how do I work afterwards to connect the customers?
We just let you connect your equipment to our ONT.
All right. So I'm gonna deploy another equipment, but I'm not gonna touch yours. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very clear. That's what I wanted to know. Well, in this part of the asset management, the idea is not only to track the operations that I mentioned previously, but also to track the health of your asset on the field. Because when we're constructing an infrastructure, we want it to last for quite a long time. It's always better, of course. And we also know that some parts of this infrastructure are points of friction. And what I mean by point of friction is you have more operation going on the same equipment. For instance, if I take the example of France, street cabinets are a real friction point, because you have a lot of different technicians acting throughout the year on a street cabinet. So it can accelerate the degradation of the assets, if it's not done correctly, of course. So the idea behind this dashboard is, first of all, to track all the operations that have been done on your network. And from these operations, we're going to analyze what we call the health status, health score of your asset. And we're going to calculate it based on different aspects, such as is there unplugged fiber? Is there trash, for instance, if we're talking about street cabinets, etc. This health score is an indicator for you to know if everything is going fine and the network is perfect, or in most cases, be alerted when preventive maintenance needs to be performed in order to make sure the network is long-lasting. For the moment, how do you think would a maintenance operation be triggered? Would it be more a corrective maintenance operation?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure.
I did not understand.
In what meaning of corrective? I don't understand the question.
All right, sure. On your equipment today, when you see when you want to do maintenance on your equipment, so on your assets, how do you decide that such an equipment needs to be maintained? What information do you need to decide if an equipment needs to have a new technician go on site and, I don't know, reconnect new plugs or something like that? Does it make sense?
Well, the first information is normally by the customer.
All right.
From the end user. This is one way. But
all
the
right.
second is when we see in our systems that something is wrong with the equipment. This is our trigger to do something.
And well, I expect that when a customer is calling you, generally it's because something doesn't work already, and therefore you always need to go and fix it. But when you see in your systems that there is an issue, and then you go into maintenance stage, do you think that this could be anticipated if the state, like if you know how your network is degrading over time?
We talk about parameters. In our case, our network in the field is spliced, and we don't use connectors. So in our case, it's a little bit different, as in the case that your.
Matjaž, do you have possibility to move to another microphone? It's really hard to understand you.
It's raining outside, and yes, I just wanted to tell that our network is spliced. We don't use connectors in the field, only in our buildings.
Only connectors in the building, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And so I assume that when there is a splicing done on the network, it means that you know right away if it works or if it doesn't work?
Yes.
Okay, that's noted. And then in the building, when you have connector, how does that work as well?
In our technical office, only there we have connectors. Optical distribution frames with connectors, yes, but there we have connectors, yes.
Okay.
But to these rooms, only we have access. Yes.
And do you, from time to time, go to one of these connectors, for instance, to do some in-person audit? Is it something familiar?
No, I don't think we do this intentionally, unless there are some major issues or something, because generally this is quite reliable. So.
All right.
Only if there's issues or maybe something new building.
Fair enough. So, all right, if I understand well, the network is built. If everything goes fine from a back office perspective, we're good. And from time to time, of course, you have some customer that is unhappy because its internet connection is not working. And then we send someone on the field.
We try to do our network like this. We only have the active equipment in our central office, and then the media goes to our customers, and that's built for a long time. We are planning the network so it doesn't have to be maintained all the time.
Fair enough.
We are building like this, so we don't have some connectors, some exchanges on the way. We like to do it fixed and as low as possible access to it.
All right.
So as less people can get to it, so it doesn't damage it or something. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and related to PON network, specifically to PON network. Sometimes, of course, in the systems we see also the strength of the signal that customer receive, and sometimes we also react before they report some service interruption based on these values that we get from the central office equipment. So it's not always that customers complain, but also sometimes proactively.
Yeah. All right. When you talk about the signal, are you talking about I'm not having the word right now. Signal from the power meter, for instance? Do you have some kind of IoT to alert you?
No, we just read the value from the ONT,
All right.
from the PON ONT.
All right. And when there is, for instance, a wrong value from the ONT, how does that work afterwards? What do you need to fix in that case?
Yeah, it could be different reasons. I mean, if we see the signal is too low, we usually send technician to the customer so they can check if the right connector is used, if there's anything wrong with optical cable and so on. What we send technician to check the customer installation.
All right. And for instance, you mentioned a bit, but I assume some issues such as a cable that has been too much bended, like too I think bended is a word, or a wrong fitting, for instance, could affect the signal of the cable, right?
Of course.
Okay, but generally this kind of issue, I assume, is supposed to be not fixed is not the word that I'm looking for. When you connect the customer to your fiber, I assume that within the technician guideline, it's stated that, okay, we can't bend the fiber too much, otherwise the signal doesn't go through the right way, right?
Of course, but you know, in the field, you get different scenarios. It's not always perfect.
Yeah, also dirty connectors and everything. So yeah, it's amazing what you can see from the field, but it's not so common, you know, these cases. So yeah.
What do you see as common cases that is affecting later on the signal for a customer, or for instance, are delaying the construction of your network? I can give you a couple of examples that we've been through with our customers, but that would be interesting for me to have a better grasp of what you see as issues that are redundant on your network. Do you have any example in mind?
Oh, once again, sorry.
Sorry?
Question. Can you repeat the question?
Yes,
sorry.
Of course. You said, of course, bending a cable is a wrong way to install the cable, and that we all agree on. But that may not be the most common case of what we call non-conformity. And I was wondering, would you have example of what would be a common mistake that you've encountered on the field?
Common mistake. Okay, let's say in we talk about GPON, the technician can use wrong connector on the wrong optical cable or something like this. Let's say.
Right.
Yeah, we can have issues with angle polish connectors or polished connectors, you know, because we're in some cases migrating from FTTH towards GPON. We are basically transforming the network.
When we're talking about connector, we're talking about a physical piece, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
because everything in GPON needs to be angle polished, you know. But even in these cases, we have some situations where some CPE vendors are using just polished connectors. So yeah, the technician needs to be aware of this, you know, for some cases.
Okay, because otherwise, if the wrong connector has been put on the overall network or equipment, it's not going to work well, right?
Yeah.
And so after such a mistake, what happens? Does the technician go back on site, goes a second time to a customer premise, or how does this is handled?
Yeah, generally he gets a work order, let's say, to go to the customer and fix this. Yeah.
All right.
The same technician or a different one, it depends. Yeah.
Yeah, and but on your side, from a more back office operational perspective, do you think using a tool that would allow to alert the technician when using a wrong material on the field, because it's not going to work later on, is something that would be valuable for you?
Of course.
Thank you, Anzi. That's a good question. That's a good answer. I'm liking this answer. But all right, so what I understand is, like, I can give you more examples through our different customers, but if I go into more details about how we've been working with Bouygues Telecom, or I can go further with Swisscom afterwards if it's more familiar to you or more interesting to talk about Swisscom, I don't know. But in the case of Bouygues Telecom, sorry, I'm gonna mix the name. This is, as I mentioned before, our historical client in the fiber environment. And so we started working with them about 4 years ago now on their connection of their customers. And they had several issues when it came to connecting their customers, and several objectives, which I'm sure some of them would be familiar to you as well, but they mostly use contractors. They had 4 contractors actually. They had low visibility about what these contractors were doing, but these contractors were going to the customer's house and were acting for Bouygues Telecom. So we're affecting also the brand image and how the customer perceived Bouygues Telecom. So low visibility, a huge amount of intervention, and in the end, what we did is we equipped their contractors with our solution so they could, as you understood, I hope by now, take a picture of different aspects of their journey to connect a new customer to fiber, be alerted if something was not conform, to make sure that this customer connection was a frictionless point for the customer journey. So what we came up with, how it has benefited, for instance, Bouygues Telecom is, of course, we're gonna equip the technician with real time. With real time, they're gonna be sure that every time they leave the site, it's done correctly. So we're gonna reduce the non-conformity rates a lot by from 25% to 5% of non-conformity of operation performed on the field. But another aspect is, okay, now we know 100% that 100% what is happening on the field. And overall, we improve the customer experience by improving this friction point that could be for the end customers. Do you relate a bit to that case? Maybe Swisscom then. I'm going to use Swisscom. I'm hesitating again between Swisscom and Telefonica, because Telefonica, when we started to work with them, they didn't have any picture or FSM application on the field again. So it's also a case that is very interesting to share with you in my opinion. But if I go through Swisscom, we've been working with them for 2 years now. And actually, they're an investor in Diplomatic. And in their case, we're focusing on a more network rollout than simply customer connection on the fiber network. And they had a lot of operation. Again, we're talking about Swisscom, even though Switzerland is a smaller country, it's still a huge amount of operation to be performed and carried out. We're talking about 4 contractors as well, one of them being a bit like JVO, a part of Swisscom, but not Swisscom, so contracted as well, which is Cabelex, but let's move on. And the problem was that we had a huge delay between the moment their contractor were sending the documentation, so the proof that the network has been done correctly, until the moment we could control it. So whatever was built by the contractors in terms of network we wouldn't know if it was right or wrong after 6 months. And it would mainly only be after an issue or after like 6 months, if it has been done correctly, which is a bit too late to act for that purpose. So again, we equipped the field technician, we provide with real-time feedback. But the main benefit for Swisscom was to make sure that 100% of their operation was controlled, whereas before it was only 15%. So we increased, well, we fully completed their quality control, and we do not have any delay for them to accept the work of their contractor. Once the contractor has sent all the information back to Swisscom and we verify it throughout the way, then Swisscom can accept and know that this network is done correctly. If it's not the case, then Swisscom doesn't have to be late in saying there is an issue, and the issue can be fixed directly by the technician on the field or the team on the field. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's just,
I would say
yeah.
so.
Can I just ask something? I see that there's specific cable box here being shown. Do you do this for every type, or do you already have templates for some specific boxes, or is this always done per project?
you're talking about the
Yeah.
right? To give you a bit of explanation about how artificial intelligence work in that specific case, we use what we call computer vision. It's a branch of AI, of deep learning, etc. But I won't go into much detail into that. But the idea behind it is anything that you could see on your bare eye, like with your bare eye on a picture, then it could be automated. So for instance, in the case of Swisscom, we're talking about BEP on the cable, and this is a point of interest for Swisscom. They decided that if it's not done like this, then they don't accept it as work being performed. And I'm sure you have some standards such as that one. Mm-hmm. So we trained our models with their pictures of this specific part of the equipment. And then every time a technician takes a picture, then we can recognize everything. But it works on every single equipment. The idea is just we need to train the AI to a new equipment if necessary. But the real rule of thumb is to say if you could see it on a picture, then the AI can see it and automate it. Do you have equipment looking like that on your side?
Is there, sorry, one question regarding artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I believe it's very good tool, but only for big companies, big networks, big amount of data.
Why is that?
Well, as far as I understand how artificial intelligence should work, the big amount of data is the basic, I believe. But in Telekom Slovenia, we have, I'm not sure if we are big enough for those analyses.
When you talk about data, I assume right now we're talking, for instance, about images, if I'm not mistaken, or amount of operations.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, the idea is that we've been working on that matter for years and years now. So we do not start from scratch when it comes to making sure that the models work for you. And in terms of how to train the model and to make sure we have enough data, as you say, to make it relevant for you, it depends, of course, of the complexity of the control points. But the idea here is, okay, if you give me, for instance, 500 picture of okay situation when everything is perfect, and another 500 pictures of a situation where the situation is messy, for instance, then I can already start to train a model and to put it in production for your specific environment. Does it make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the idea here is it's really much based on what we've been working with our previous customers. So of course their data is their data and your data is your data, and we're not mixing that up, but still we benefit from the work that we have done previously in order to make the models relevant for you, not with too much complexity. But if it's a topic of interest for you, for instance, okay, do we have enough data or not? This is completely something that we can organize a meeting with a more technical person that would explain a bit further how that works. If that's of interest, this is not a problem for us.
No, I was just thinking about that.
No, that's a really good point.
Compared to other operators that have, for example, 20 million customers, we are really small, and yeah.
Yeah, if that's a point of interest, again, this is not an issue, and actually I think it's good to have a bit more information on your side about how AI works, because it's always good to understand what we're speaking about. I might not be the best one to explain it to you, that's why I'm not going into too much details about it.
Yeah, sure. We also don't have time now. It's just the introduction.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Maybe can you tell us this Swisscom solution?
Yes.
How deep they go with these pictures? They control connectors. They control boxes. Do they control cables? How the cables are spliced, or how what they
analyzed
analyzed?
the entire case, or just through these pictures?
Maybe through these pictures that we can imagine what can be controlled.
Well, again, everything that, okay, if you see these pictures, your question is, your interest is to know, for instance, what Swisscom thinks is relevant to control, like based on their experience, what they would like to control, or more from this picture, what can I tell you could be controlled?
Maybe both.
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer it as well as I can. Okay, but it's a very short picture, but from this picture, the little boxes there that you can see are the indication of a point of interest. So we're gonna check that, and again, we're gonna check the strap in between the different cassettes. I don't know how it's named in English. So we're gonna check several aspects throughout this specific picture. Again, we could check if the coiling has been done. I don't have I'm gonna check if I have a couple of pictures available at hand, because it's always much easier for me to explain with a picture when we're talking about equipment and pictures. But again, what you could see on the picture for this type of equipment, you could have the right coiling of the cable, making sure it passes through the hooks. Not these exact pictures that you can see it from, and I'm not so sure hook is the right term for that, but let me see if I can find some other examples. I'm sorry, my laptop is running a bit low, but of course I have a link that I think could be interesting for you to receive afterwards. That is, excuse me, that is showing different types of equipment and what we call control points. Again, this is the case of control point is on that picture. This is a control point, etc., that we have automated in the past for customers. So things we've been working with, such as, I don't know, power meter, with the different wavelength, making sure it's in the right range, etc. So I can send that afterwards. And okay, I'm gonna try to switch. Okay, maybe if I go like this. In an equipment, I'm sorry, it's in French. In an equipment that looks a bit like like the one from Swisscom, for instance, this is the hooks that I were like mentioning. These hooks and the fiber going through, this one is not going under, so it's not done correctly. In that case, we're gonna have, for instance, the coiling of the different cables that is done or not done correctly. Again, every aspect of the quality control is very dependent to our customers. So we have, for instance, in France, well, for the mutualisation means street cabinet, and in France, as you can see on that real picture, it's a mess. So it really depends on your own environment, I would say.
We don't use connectors on the street, only in central office.
Yeah, you told me so. Well, at least you avoid these situations. But this is this is a French case. Sorry?
Central office. This picture looks like some small central office.
Yeah, well,
like some container on the field.
Yeah, well, the idea is the same. It's like here you have the infrastructure operator, here you have the customer premises, and then you have coiling operation. But no, and they haven't decided to keep up with the coiling in that specific case, and we end up with a difficult situation. Let's say difficult situation. But this is a very very French case, and I know that it's not always. It's always very dependent about the architecture of the network per country, so it changes a lot from country to country. I mean,
we have also some of this.
Sorry,
we also have
yeah,
some small central offices like this. They're the same as this one.
They look the same, like the same states.
Definitely no.
Okay, that's fine then. That's okay. That's not a big issue then. But yeah, what I would suggest is I understand we have several aspects for which it could be interesting for you to deploy such a solution from the more construction side of the network handled by a contractor, by GVO, to a more connection of bye Peter, thank you for your time, from a more connection perspective. So we have a dual aspect that could be interesting for you, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Two perspectives. One is our first perspective are connectors. The second perspective is cabling.
Is?
Cabling.
Cabling? Like the two main aspects that could be covered. That what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe what I can suggest best is, first of all, I will send you everything that I showed you today. You have also access to different use cases and testimony videos about our customers that explain also how we've been deploying with them. That could give you another idea, another perspective. This is always interesting. I can also share this wonderful website where we have a non-exhaustive list of what we've done on different equipments. But what I would suggest is maybe that we can go further into details about how it works through a live demo. Would you think it would be an appropriate next step for you?
Live demo of your application?
Of course, I don't have your pictures just yet, so we will have to have a not shorter, but maybe not the most representative according to your network. But yeah, it would be a demonstration about from what does the field technician perspective looks like, what kind of information we can gather from the field and feed the different dashboards with, up to what KPIs we've been following with our customers.
Yeah, of course. We'd like to see both sides from the central or the customer's side.
Okay.
Live demo. That would be good.
Okay, I will try to fit them both side into the same demo and to show the most that I can. But that would be, I think, a good option as a next step. So you have all the information at hand. Sounds good?
Yes, I agree.
All right, great. And do you have any additional question that pops up in your mind? Because I see we're 5 minutes late, and I don't want to keep you late for the rest of your afternoon.
At this stage, from what I'm concerned, not. But could you share the presentation with us that you showed us today?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Maybe we will share it additionally with some other colleagues that could not attend today also.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That would be very useful.
Okay.
Just one more question.
Yes.
Is this tool standalone or it can be implemented?
What do you mean?
Is your application working as a standalone app?
Yeah.
Or it can be built in some other applications too?
The idea is the easiest way is to be a standalone. I'm not gonna lie. This is the easiest way to have a first type of implementation into the customer's setup. Now, for instance, as I was mentioning, in the case of the FSM, the idea would be not to replicate a second application for the technician just to take a picture, etc. So the idea would be maybe first have a standalone application, but over time to be integrated directly into your FSM. And this is also the case for the back office operation. For instance, we're working with Unifiber. I don't know if you know the company. They are rolling out fiber throughout Flanders in Belgium. And for them, for instance, we're deploying the standalone application for their technician because they're contracting everything. So it's much easier as a first step. And for their back office operation, we're integrating with their system that is Cocoon. I never know the name exact, but the idea is we're gonna feed their back office systems with information from the field, and of course they will have access to the different dashboards that were created for them. Does it answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. In any case, if you have any additional question in the meantime, don't hesitate to send me an email, and what I can do is I will talk with the solution engineer here at Diplomatic to see when we have availability, but I think we could organize a demo for the next couple of weeks if that would work for you. Of course, I will share a bit, I will share some slots of availability on our side, and so we can organize it.
Yeah, yes, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much to have dedicated your time.
Thank you for your presentation.
We can speak soon.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great,
right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Great day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.